Hello again, guys. I just wanted to share some more information. I just came across this information by chance of doing some research on the different crosses around the world. I have sneaking suspicions about all of the crosses around the world, and I'm going to be making a video in regards to that to try to see what other people might know. But I came across this information about this video exposing Star Wars. Oddly enough, I had clicked on an image of the one where it has Anakin Skywalker, and he has a cross. It's an upside down cross that he's wielding as his lightsaber. I clicked on this one website, and it had this link. Some of the links were already gone, I'm sure for copyright infringement or something with using Star Wars. But this one actually had a 4-minute video in regards to someone who worked on the movie. And so I know that there's black magic all throughout Hollywood, and this is actually revealing some of it. That these people who get initiated, they're actually part of the Black Brotherhood of Saturn. It's the cult of the Black Cube. It is also a death cult, but they have been using all this magic to obtain power. As we can see with Hollywood, what people do is they obtain power and wealth through doing all kinds of dark acts. But this whole idea and concept of what is being exposed now is going to hopefully turn our ship around, in the world once people really gain a good perspective on what's happening. And being in the realm of Hollywood myself, I saw it on a surface level of how I was being subverted, giving away my entire life, signing it away, and also signing non-disclosure agreements for everything that I worked on. This is what they do. It's all about keeping the secrets secret. And that's the problem with our world, is that we're not coming forward with what we know in the secrets. The secrets are the ones that hold the darkness. Behind secrets, you'll find darkness, and darkness is Saturn. It's Saturn's realm. I need to do just an entire excerpt and expose on everything related to Saturn, so that way people can get a clear idea of what Saturn is and what it isn't. People out here in Christianity don't realize that they're actually worshiping Saturn. Saturn is the Dark Lord, and always referred to as Lord. There is no light above us that considers themselves Lord, because light doesn't force people into a belief system. Light does not, do dark acts, but the Dark Lord does. And Saturn's energy influences people through their minds, but they do not comprehend this. And so there are obviously, things that we can't see, the shadows, that are part of Saturn's influence. And so in this, I'm going to play this instead of, trying to rip it out off of its website or whatever. I was just going to play this on mine and give the people credit for putting this out there. Because I think, as always, we should just shine more light on the darkness. And that's what my purpose is. And so I'm just going to go ahead and play this, and then we'll talk about some things once it's finished.
What do I think is wrong with Star Wars? Not everything. One is that everybody that signed the contract on Star Wars is an initiated witch and had to prove what brotherhood they belonged to before they could start.
Yeah, I would just want to go ahead and mention real quickly before I forget this. and I'm going to be breaking in probably from time to time so I don't lose my train of thought, because my thoughts can be very fleeting. I recently spoke with someone, and they may watch this video, but I have been learning a lot about Freemasonry. And I've learned that the Scottish rite of Freemasonry is basically the black magic side. And, you, in all things in this world, everyone has free will. Your free will means everything. It is your sovereignty. It is your right. And in the ultimate state of things, you have free will to choose right or wrong, good or bad, yin or yang. And it is your greatest power. And if you give it away, then unfortunately you can be controlled. And that's what happens to people who sign up for Hollywood. And it's why they have the dangling carrot in front of everyone's eyes, the fame and fortune and all of this, is because that carrot is such a juicy nugget to these people's minds that they have to have it, and they will scramble over each other and cut each other's throats, basically, in a kind of metaphoric term, to get to the carrot. And the ones who will jump through the darkest, deepest hoops are the ones who get the carrot. So I think that is something important that we need to start becoming aware of, is that we do not need to support Hollywood anymore. We do not need to watch all of these things. We don't need to pay them for anything, because we're only perpetuating their machine of control and dominance over the human psyche. I personally do not pay for Netflix or anything like that, but my friends have granted me access to their shows. So I use that as a means, a tool to learn from the different subjects that they're putting out. And I see the connecting points. I see the symbolism. I see everything. These movies are now speaking a language to me. And I'm sorry, I know I'm going to mess up you guys listening to this video. So I'll backtrack it just a little bit so y'all can just listen to it all the way through, and I'll try to just maintain my thoughts so I don't get off on a tangent. My apologies.
One is that everybody that signed the contract on Star Wars is an initiated witch and had to prove what brotherhood they belonged to before they could star. And went, really? Yes. Now, this is fact from talking with the people who produced the show. Second, the guy who played Luke Skywalker on the show, some of you from having the television bug, may realize that he starred in the premiere of 8 is Enough. They had him to a contract, and he wanted out of it because it became a failure. And he said, I want out of it. And they said, no. And they said, well, we're going to do a follow-up of Star Wars called Star Trails, which is so. And I want out of it, and you better let me out of it if you know what's good for you. And they said, no. And they said, well, I'll just finish your show. I'll cast a spell and kill one of the leading stars, which he did. They let him out of the contract. Because he turned to the producer and says, you're next. The real reason for Star Wars is that 5 of the major doctrines of witchcraft are taught all the way through the movie, and that the statistics coming in now are over 1 million people have joined witchcraft because of the movie, especially now. Now, I talked to the man who handled all the publicity for the movie. He verified everything I'm saying. It also said that, I said, well, I guess about 75%, and I still believe that, 75% of the movie was witchcraft. He said, no, only about 45. I said, well, what about Star Trails? He said, oh, that's 95%. I said, well, what about making everybody in witchcraft in it? He said, oh, they are. Everybody in it has to be. I said, well, who's going to be the new star? And he said, oh, the guy, and you probably won't know his name, so I'll tell you who he played. All you women that like soap operas. He played Snapper on Young and Restless. Now, that's not unusual, since the 3 major soap operas, you must be a witch before you star in them. Young and Restless was the last to go. That's why there was a big changeover in Young and Restless staff recently. The other two are All My Children and Secret Storm. So if you parents think that your kids are the ones that get it all because of the rock music, what can I tell you? I met a PR man recently who told me he is the public relations man for the new Star Wars sequel. He's a homosexual. He told me there's not one star that's a major star in the new movie that has not gone to bed with homosexuals in order to get the part. He also said the majority of them are being picked from the top occult soap opera in the country. Does anybody have an idea of what that soap opera is? Young and Restless. Reason? Brad, for those that watch it, is a Christian who cancels to astrology. And one of the new stars is Snapper, the doctor on the show that will be in Star Wars. And the guy told me that instead of 45% of the Star Wars thing being on the Force, 99% will be about the Force. And for the guys who like country western music to think that Stacey Cobb, it's not rock, Tom T. Hall has just brought out the best-selling song in a long time. It's called The Force, about good witchcraft battling bad witchcraft.
I have personally talked with Johnny Todd on the basis of Jack Chick's recommendation. Having known Johnny Todd now for more than 4 years, and my having known him for some 6 months, I believe that Johnny Todd is a genuinely converted man, saved by the grace of God out of the depths of Satanism.
So that's just a little excerpt about what truly goes on in Hollywood and how it really started gaining ground with all of the black magic that they were practicing. And it's all part of an indoctrination, for people. Once you sign the contracts, that's where the hook is. And then how far you want to go in the film industry will determine, how dark you have to go, which is what has happened to Freemasonry. I believe that the foundations of Freemasonry were of good, and that it was part of the mystery schools during Egypt's reign in Alexandria and all that, during Atlantis. And that now they have the left-hand path, the right-hand path, and the middle pillar. It's always been around. It is part of the yin and yang. It is cyclical, and it's always going to be this way. But as you can see, the Dark Lord reigns over all in the image of their poster, their movie poster. The Dark Lord is Saturn. Okay, you have Saturn. Luke Skywalker, he is the Skywalker. He is the sun. He represents the sun. And then you have, of course, the moon over here. It's supposed to be the moon, of Saturn, Iapetus. It actually has the satellite dish. That Iapetus supposedly has. And, of course, you have all of the other characters. I'm sure that, it's Jupiter, Mercury. Mercury is probably represented by Obi-Wan, because he's, consciousness, he has thought. And Thor is probably represented by Han Solo. I don't know. I mean, Han Solo probably, the name alone, I haven't decoded that, but everything, all of these things represent something. And what you can do is usually count 7, the 7 main characters, and figure out what is represented. So obviously, Princess Leia would be Venus. And Chewbacca, I'm not sure. Let's see. So we have Saturn, the moon, we have the sun, and we have Thor, which would be Jupiter. We have Mercury, and then Venus, and then I guess, the next one would be Mars. Maybe Han Solo is Mars. I don't know, but this is how they always put things in our face. is they always do a reference to the celestial heavens. And people have not yet grasped that this indication of space is a falsehood. You do not fly in a linear fashion through space. That is impossible. When you begin learning from the sages and philosophers of old, you begin to learn what all of this means. And I feel like it's important for us to remain grounded in these foundational truths from the golden age, as opposed to grasping at the straws that they give us and the falsehoods and stories that they keep changing throughout each age. Because each age just presents a new story, but the characters always remain the same. This is the most important key to knowing what the language is when they begin a new narrative. Now they're going to start destroying the foundations of Christianity and all of the religions, because that was the current legion of truth that people were following, and they didn't know that it had a reference to the celestial heavens. When you get back to the ultimate truth about the celestial heavens and how they actually create us and our character traits, then you start seeing the truth for what it is, and the veil drops. And then you can start really learning who you truly are. But as long as you're following in a swimming, spiraling soup of a narrative of, just frivolous information, the stories are always just, they've got to be told, so they're handed down, they're passed down in allegories and things. And you have to find out who the players are, who they truly are. And it's always, 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 even in Christianity, even in the Muslim tradition, and in the Jewish tradition, all of the characters are the same. They're the 7 planets. They're the 7 heavenly bodies. They are the moon, Mercury, Venus, the sun, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn. All of them. You do not get Uranus and Pluto and Neptune and all this junk in there, because they're obsolete. These 7 are the only ones that we ever need to worry about. All the other ones are just junk that they threw in there to add additional confusion, because they're trying to confuse people and throw them off the trail, just like they've done with our calendars, our clocks, everything. Like, everything has been subverted, and all of that was going to be revealed. So if you want to be wise, you will take what I'm speaking of about these 7 celestial heavens, the ones that are the most important, and you will begin studying them, and you will put together different things from alchemy. When you start looking into alchemical symbols and the base root of the 4 elements, like the foundations of our world, this is then going to give you the true foundation to work upon. And as you move forward from that truth, then you can look outwardly, outside of yourself in the world, and you will see a new language emerge in front of your eyes, and you'll be like, wow, the symbolism is everywhere. But what does it mean? It means that we are in a game, and this game is forever moving forward. It's ticking forward. Always remember, the counterclockwise motion pushes away energy. It pushes it outwards from your center form. Clockwise motion brings in energy. Why did they make the clocks clockwise? Because it's bringing in energy, because we're moving forward in what's known as time. Time is ruled by Saturn. Know this. There is no good or evil in the world. It is only an illusion of such. Everything is yin and yang. it's light or shadow, it's black or white, and it falls into those categories. But if you can walk in your life, walk the middle pillar. Because everything in your life is ruled by yin and yang. Then if you learn to walk the middle pillar without using emotional states, good or bad, light or dark, but you walk the middle pillar as the observer, and you observe all things, then you learn to control your emotions and to truly reflect back inside yourself with the mirror. Instead of looking outwardly at the problems of the world, you reflect inwardly at yourself and how you're perceiving them. Now, I am not perfect. I still have emotional states. I feel sadness for the world. I feel sadness for people. But I have to remind myself constantly that it's all an illusion. And, even though I don't agree with the construct of the world, I have to take part in it. It is part of my process because I am a character. I am obviously one of the live action role-playing characters and not one of these fake, non-player characters that is just a distraction in our world. These are the ones that are just wandering around. They don't know who they are. They don't know where they're going. They're just following the process that this experience is giving them without questioning anything. The real characters in this game are the ones who are questioning everything and who are exposing things and actually working towards good. Now, there's a lot of people working towards darkness, but again, that's their free will. Now, another thing I wanted to show you was the symbolism in the main image they used in the title. In this Star Wars poster, the original poster, again, they're always putting things in your face, but most people don't have the eyes to see. So part of my process in this world is to decode information for people. And the first thing I saw when I saw this old poster was the cross. That they show the cross, and the center of the cross, which would be considered a Coptic cross, shows the shining golden light in the very center. That would be the North Pole, where the world tree is. And also this idea of the North Star, the North Polar Star, that rests right above that great tree of Yggdrasil. That is also symbolic right here, because all of the crosses are derived from the 4 cardinal directions with the tree in the center. So the alchemical symbols are very important in this regard because they show the cross. The cross within a circle is Terra and also Earth. And then the dot or speck within a circle, in the middle of a circle, is gold or sun. So when you get into alchemy, you'll start learning all of the symbolism that is being used out here in the world that we are not privy to. But you can see that Luke Skywalker is in reference to the sun, who walks across the sky in 12 steps. He is Luke, and he is Lord of the Sky, basically. He is not Lord of the Rings, he's Lord of the Sky. And then you have Venus, who would be Lucifer. Lucifer is Venus. People must know these things. You must know these terms. Lucifer is Venus, the star of the morning. Vespa or Vesper is Venus, star of the evening star. This is all in occult teachings. This is why the Freemasons and all of these occultists are laughing at us, because we fear knowledge, or at least most people do. I don't anymore. I go after all of this information now, and I do not fear it, but I'm starting to comprehend it as I put it together and put it into place. And most people are just running around like children, with the minds of children, instead of stopping to turn back and face the fears and investigate. And what I'm finding is just pure knowledge. And they love that. They love that people fear knowledge. We must stop this. We must stop and stop pointing and saying, oh, it's the devil, it's the devil. Oh, run away, it's evil. No, we have to stop. Everything is knowledge. What you do with the knowledge is what determines whether you're good or evil. So Star Wars, again, is a reference to the celestial heavens, which is us, which is each and every one of us. When you go and you look at your natal chart, you will realize that all of those character traits that each planet represents is inside of you. And so this whole thing that George Lucas came up with Star Wars was like a joke to them. But to us, we just love it. It's an illusion. It's love. We love this, entertainment. We love being entertained by it. They're telling you absolutely everything about you, even in this movie. The Force is your will. And it's your will to choose. But your will is everything. It's like Jupiter. And Jupiter is your greatest thing, is your greatest ally. It is in your chakras. Your 7 chakras are connected to the heavenly bodies above you. And you never knew because no one ever told you. But as you can see, also in this poster is Saturn. In the background, they have hidden very, slightly, is Darth Vader. And he is Lord of the Rings. He's Lord Vader. He is the Dark Lord. And he rules over all because he is the challenger for this existence. And until you start to learn about all this symbolism, you're going to keep running in circles in your life. And it's time for us each to stop and go, okay, what is this? What's Hermeticism? What is this astrology? What is astrotheology? What is this science and spirituality that is connected to the celestial heavens above us? The Dark Lord is challenging us to learn. Honestly, Dark Lord isn't evil. He just represents the antithesis of light. He is just the polar opposite. He is the shadow. He's your shadow. And until you start to recognize Darth Vader inside of you, then, that's the pivotal point where you realize, oh, it's my shadow. And then you start to just allow the events of your life to play out and to recognize that they're just experiences and to not use your emotional states, which is your power. And in this image where Luke Skywalker is holding a lightsaber and it's shooting outward, they're telling you something. This image also, they're making a pyramid shape with their forms. This is not by chance. These people who make these movies are occultists, and they have been laughing at the rest of us because they've been enjoying their power over us and laughing that we don't have the power and that we fear all of this knowledge and that we fear the occult world and we fear magic. It's a joke. You are the magic. You are the mystery. And the mystery is inside each of us to discover what our innate abilities are. So they're showing you right here that this pyramid shape is fire. This is the fire. Notice the Star Wars is in a pyramidal shape as well. And with Princess Leia being the other half, Princess Leia represents yin, or dark energy, or negative, because women absorb the yang energy. It's just like when you have, in alchemy, you have the pyramid. The upright pyramid means fire. The downward facing pyramid is the chalice, the holy grail or cup. It is water. It is yin. And you can see here in the symbolism of the title, it's an upright pyramid. Star Wars is in white, but they put the pinnacle of the pyramid as Princess Leia, and she represents black, which is yin. And then just to the side, which is the Holy Cross, you have Luke Skywalker, who is the sun, who is pointing upward towards the light in the center, the light at the center of the world. Polaris, the North Star, resides over the pivotal point of the world, the center. It is the central sun, Polaris, and the great tree of Yggdrasil is in the middle of the shining star, with the 4 cardinal directions symbolized by the cross and the crossing point. Yes, people, they are putting everything in our face. But Darth Vader is Lord of the Rings, and he rules over all of them. That's why he's huge in the background. Symbolism is everywhere, and we must gain the eyes to see this. So with Star Wars, this idea of the serpent or the darkness, the hidden things, the hidden one, the serpent is always hidden, right? You don't always see snakes, but they're lurking around in the hidden places. This is why secrets need to be revealed, all secrets, so that we cannot have these hidden things in our society lurking in the shadows, ready to attack, so to speak. But they always will be there. But the more light we shine, that means that Luke Skywalker is coming back. Luke Skywalker is shining very brightly with his light and shining on all the darkness, but it's inside of us. This light and this darkness is inside of us. And we have to choose one or the other. And we do, based on all of this great wheel of time. The wheel or will of time is cyclical, and it comes in waves. And you can compare it to the breathing of the ocean. The ebb and flow of the water in and out of the ocean is just like the yin and yang, and it's also just like the lightness and dark that we see in the world, and it will come and go. And this is our lesson to learn as a soul traversing this experience. This is our lesson to learn the hidden things of the world and to shine our light and be very, very bright and to do good in the world will help us to ascend to higher levels in the next incarnation. This is how it's done. So this serpent is continually just going to incite humans to war against each other. This is the continuity of the world. It will always be this way until more humans gain enough light to where we're all one, and we can then co-create this world more together. This is what happens once we learn about all of the frequencies that are all around us, that are always affecting us. The shapes and colors are an entirely different language that we were never taught, and they affect our energy because we are light. So as we bring these other reflective energies that are constantly reflecting off of things, just like the light that we see from our eyes is reflecting off of things, and it's absorbing one color, that's all that energy is reflecting off onto us. The colors, the shapes, everything. If you look at everything as light and it's emitting fields of light, then you get it. And you know that I'm walking through all these fields of energy. How is this affecting me? This is why nature, returning to nature, is the most prominent and best thing that we can do, because nature heals us in her forms, her gentle curves and shapes that are organic and flowing. And the green light is very healing and nurturing to our bodies, and connecting our skin to her body then illuminates her energy, because we came here as part of her, yet we see ourselves as separate from her based on this experience that we call life. And Saturn's reign, Saturn is always going to be the darkness and antithesis to light, but it's only an experience. It's a lesson to learn, and it's a very, very strong lesson. Saturn is the great father who controls all things. And once you give regard to this notion that it's not something to be feared, but to be more comprehended, then you awaken to all of the energies of Saturn, and you learn to just know and to just flow with that energy, just like all the other energies. And when you can do this, you set your soul free. You then shift and become immutable, and you float through life without being damaged or harmed in your ego, because it's all your ego that you're trying to fight against. And when you can conquer your ego and you don't have emotional outbursts and states of emotion, anger and sadness and sorrow and pain, that's when you can set your soul free and you become more like the light, which is just there. It's just there to observe. And it becomes a beautiful thing. It makes life so much easier, even though most people won't comprehend you, because you become more honorable to your soul, and you become more honest with yourself, and you shine more light on your own darkness. This is the game. This is the answer for everything. But most people can't see. They can't get a grasp on it. So this whole idea of the serpent or Saturn, who is continually getting humans to war against each other, that's the Jedi mind trick, to continually speak the evil into your own mind, to allow these thoughts to enter. That's the rule of Saturn, in your own heart and in your own thoughts, to allow evil words to come into your mind. It is the darkness inside of you that you allow to take hold. And when you do that, that corrupts your mind, when in reality, all you're doing is looking outwardly and observing the world and having an experience. But to learn this hard lesson, to not react to other people's actions and to think that every action is somehow against you. That's the part that you let go. And when you do this, everything becomes easier. So most of the people in the world do not know themselves, and they're not really working to correct any character flaws. See, this is the real work. This is what's called or known as the great work. This is what the Kabbalah is about. The Kabbalah depicts the human form with the two pillars and the middle pillar. The middle pillar can go all the way down to Saturn and all the way up to heaven. And this is what we're trying to connect, is one pillar of light to connect us and our minds to the heavens again, to not lean to the left or to the right, but to walk the middle pillar almost in just reverence of the world as an observer, and to not have emotional states. This will advance us greatly in our spiritual growth. So whenever you hear the term stars, the stars, especially in Hollywood, when they talk about the stars, Star Wars, Star Lord, all this stuff, it's referring to us. So when you hear the word star, think of the mirror and think of seeing yourself in the mirror, because stars is a reference to us and that we are born of the stars. Each and every one of us is a star seed. Everything, every human shape, and even the animals, they're all stars, but we are the true stars. We have the greatest power because we can wield the word. The word is a mighty tool that creates. And in our current state of awareness, it can create love. It can create compassion. It can create evil and harm, because words are swords. And the formulation of those words depends on the outcome of what you do to another person or to yourself. When you speak words or even thoughts to yourself in the form of words, and you attack yourself, you say you're not good enough, or you're not pretty enough, or there's something that you doubt about yourself, you're only attacking yourself with your own swords. This is the falsehood. We each chose our bodies. We each chose our vessels. We each chose our moment to arrive into this world of consciousness, to specifically learn different lessons. And this is what most people cannot see. They cannot see that this is just a school for our soul, our star. Stars is plural because we come from the stars. And the 7 stars is what creates us and our characters. But we are light, and we are just being projected down here. The innermost part of us is the projection on the inside of the light. It's connected to the beams of light above us. And we've been implanted here and injected here. And then when this physical, what we call physical form, is also made of light, but much denser. Once that falls away, we get released back into the heavens. And our spirit freely floats away. And the consciousness that we gain while we're here is what we take with us, all of our experiences. So the farther you go with your spiritual growth is what's going to matter most. So what sort of things can you attain to take with you? Knowledge. Knowledge is the only thing that we take from us when we leave this world. How much knowledge do you want to have? Or how much experience do you want to have? How much joy do you want to have? Because each one of us is here for different things. We come here and we harvest whatever knowledge we're here to learn, and then we take it with us. And that's it. that will always travel with us into our next incarnations. So, what do you want to gain? Well, there's a lot of things to talk about with that. The more light you grow, supposedly the more your shadow grows. And the way I feel right now is I'm taking all of this knowledge and I'm growing my light, but I have not seen more darkness come my way from doing so. I don't feel a shadow. I feel like my shadow is going away the more I work on myself. So I'm not sure about the more light you have, the more shadow you have. I feel like I'm just going straight up the middle. So I don't know how that works. I think the whole point is to overcome even your shadow self completely to where there's only light. And once you do that, that's when you start achieving the light body. And you will move to a higher plane after this existence. So I don't know. We're all trying to figure it out, aren't we? So while I was on this Star Wars subject, I wanted to go ahead and traverse some other things that I've found on the internet. Of course, traveling, I'm always picking up things, little stones, and carrying them along. So I had come across this information about how the Yoda character that they used in Star Wars was actually in reference to a real person, apparently. And this design was drawn in an ancient text. It was like an ancient scroll where it had this little being that had webbed hands and elf ears, for lack of a better term of the ears, that appeared to be some sort of sage or ancient teacher. There's not a whole lot of information on that character, but going across many different videos, I came across this. And it may have been on one of Mind Unveiled's videos. I can't remember which video it was. And apparently, he was depicted in an ancient manuscript that was on some sort of scroll or book. And I'm not sure what all the content was, but I'll have to do some more research on that. But also the idea that, these people who write these movies, they aren't really creative. It's not their creativity but they try to use things that are real and then place them in a story in a fictional format for people to, grasp at straws, basically, and think, oh, I'm being entertained. So the Baltic Sea anomaly is the Millennium Falcon, basically. The Baltic Sea anomaly is obviously some sort of construction that's under the Baltic Sea. They've said that it's a spaceship, but it could be a building or, some sort of structure, human-made, obviously, because you don't get those kinds of shapes and angles and things through nature or natural means unless it's a tree of some sort that was chopped and cut and it's under the ocean floor. Maybe it's just a stump. But yeah, that's kind of interesting that the Baltic Sea anomaly is the Millennium Falcon. And then, of course, Iapetus is the moon of Saturn, and it's the Death Star. And most people don't know that. So that's what I'm saying. These occultists, they really don't have the creative mindset enough to just come up with some fascinating thing. But they try to use things that are real and then place them in a story in a fictional format for people to, grasp at straws, basically, and think, oh, I'm being entertained. But yeah, there's quite a few different things, in that movie that are they're right in your face, putting it right in your face that they have the knowledge and you don't. And it's just sort of like a laugh at us that we are so ignorant that we don't know how to use our own force or power, our willpower. But when you start working with hermetics, after you've cleared your shadow, you got to start clearing your shadow characteristics out of your presence before truly beginning the work of hermeticism. Once you've done that, then you can start to truly work with what's known as the force, the force of the will. And your will can then manifest with the ether. As you practice, you become adept. And then eventually you'll be able to manifest the 4 elements outside of your body, because they're inside your body and outside your body. And you can work with them because everything is part of the tetragrammaton. We're never taught how to do any of it. And it's our contracts either to come here and become an alchemist of the 4 elements and work with the ether, or to just have different experiences. Each one of us is on a different path. We're on our own individual hero's journey. And, as we continue to incarnate into these different forms, we will quite possibly just continue our journey from this life into the next. And I believe that we can imbibe in our consciousness, in the DNA and in our consciousness, that when we do incarnate into another form, we can actually perform hypnosis on ourselves in this life to be triggered in the next life via sound. So the sound frequencies are the ultimate frequencies. They are the light codes. And you can actually imbibe a particular sound into your consciousness and into the cells of your body by commanding this to happen, that you will awaken and remember all of your past life memories once you have this sound in the next life. You can do this because it's part of hypnosis. So that sound can just be literally a sound like eh or e or it can be a burp. It can be literally anything. And you put your willpower coupled with your feelings, because your willpower won't work without your feelings. You put your feeling, your innate countenance into your words of what you want to imbibe into your being, and it will remain there. You command it to remain there throughout all space and all time, to be awakened upon this particular sound frequency. And you emit that sound with your mouth. So that and it has to be something that no matter what language is being spoken, no matter what time and place you are, that this sound that you emit, it can even be a tss or a sh or a breath. It can be your breath. Any sound will then activate all of your memories. This is a secret key. The keys of the universe are sacred and secret, but they are revealed to those who seek knowledge and seek all of the hidden things. Sound is the key, and we can use these keys to our advantage to help us advance even further in the next life. And I believe this to be one of the unspoken secret keys that many mages of old, many of the ancients probably knew this. And that's how they were able to incarnate into their next form. This is how quite possibly the Buddha incarnated, and they knew when the Buddha was going to incarnate so they could find him. And then he knew he was, came into this world knowing that he was the Buddha. This is what we can do. This is the advancement of consciousness. So I hope that you guys have enjoyed this little excerpt of Star Wars and little gems of knowledge to take upon your journey. And I hope everyone is well, and I will see you on the next video.